This is the Marconi MDF-5 direction finding receiver. I've been building a power supply into this project box here. The receiver is fed through a 6-way umbilical cord, which is captive at the receiver end. Just a short cord, about 3 foot long. Power supply is actually a commercial unit I bought a few years ago, and fits neatly into this box. So there's an on-off switch, external fuse, and there's a little blinking LED on the end there which shows that the power's onto the unit. The unit's on, probably just hear it hissing there, but no antenna on it. And I was going to put this power supply into the box, into the case, because there is a compartment where it would fit in. Then I thought, maybe not. Maybe there's a reason why there wasn't a power supply fitted in the first place. And I was right. So you can hear the noise. That's just a receiver at full volume, BFO on, tuned to about 500 kilohertz. Now watch when I open the front of the receiver. It's quite remarkable how much RF screening is afforded by this cabinet. So there's no antenna on it at all. So when I open the front of the panel, front of the case up, it just lets a lot of interference from the likes of LED lights, power supplies, computer, etc. That's just picking it up on the chassis. So I think there's a good reason why the power supply wasn't built into these RDF sets. They're tuned from about 250 kilohertz up to about 650 kilohertz, and at least these days there's so much interference there, it's ridiculous. Anyway, that's the power supply built and functioning, and provides about 1.4 volts to the filaments of the tubes, and about 90 volts for the plate supply. There's also in the umbilical is a switched 120 volt AC, which is powering the dial lights. That's all the dial lights are powered by, is 120 volts AC, which is pretty unusual. And all the dial light cabling is all screened, which is very unusual. I think it's to do with keeping mains bone interference, probably from a ship, which would be worse, out of the set. And the fuses are screened inside there. There's a big suppressor, double suppressor capacitor, which I had to take out of circuit and replace it with an X2 safety capacitor across the power line, because the original suppressor was coupled to ground, and this chassis is not grounded at the moment, so you get quite a shock off the chassis if that was the case. So I disconnected it, put an X2 capacitor in there, which is doing a good job in terms of keeping any interference out. So there we are, second short video on the Marconi MDF-5 receiver.